Germany, we have a tradition that usually happens in November, and it is called Grünkohl essen. It means eating kale. And you probably think, well, what's so special about that? Well, in Germany, we eat kale mostly in winter. We don't know any raw version of kale. So we don't eat kale salad or kale chips or anything. We don't know that. It's just not available there. And usually it comes frozen or in a can. So I personally have never really seen a raw, fresh kale plant until I came to the US. And I didn't know what it is. So I stayed away from it because I found it kind of outlandish. And it took me several years to find out that kale is Grünkohl, and I can actually cook one of my favorite meals with it. So today I'm going to show you how we make our traditional Grünkohl, our kale recipe in Germany, and I hope you like it as much as I do. So since our son is in college, we are a much smaller family, and one of my best eaters is not here anymore. That's why I will make only half the recipe. The full recipe amount you will find on my blog, which is linked under the video in the comment area. And I will start with walking around what we all need. So we need, of course, kale. We need some sausage, and it's important that the sausage has a high amount of fat in it. I know it's not so wanted by some people, but it's important for this recipe. So I settled to some beef smoked sausage. It looks kind of a little bit like what we have in Germany. Also, you need some pork chops. What else? Some lard that I still had in my fridge from when I've made some bacon, some salt, some pepper, of course. I might need some quick oats if I have a lot of liquid in my kale recipe, then I will have to add these to soak in some of the liquid. I will need a little bit of mustard. Then I have here some vegetable broth. I'm using my homemade instant vegetable broth, which you can find as a video right here. Also, I need some onions. I already chopped them, and it's okay if this time these onions are not cubed very small. Then for the side, I will have some fried potatoes that are glazed in sugar. So here are the boiled potatoes that I've already prepared, and here's the sugar that I will need for that. I also need some butter, and yeah, that's basically it. My first step will be to blanch the kale, and basically everything I'm doing today will happen at the stove behind me, so you will not see very much of me, and I'm moving everything, the cameras and the lighting, all the way over to the stove. As you can see, I've created a little bit of an assembly line here. I have boiling water, I have ice cold water, and I will start by adding the kale to the boiling water. Like half of it. And I only leave this in the boiling water for 2 to 3 minutes. And then I will next put it into the ice cold water. And I don't know if you know that, but for the kale, they are using a lot of pesticides, I think even more than for strawberries. That's why I always buy an organic kale. I never buy the regular one. Okay, and I think the 3 minutes are done. And I move this now to the ice cold water. And I'll do the second batch. Okay, now I'll move the colander over here. So now I can take the cold kale out of the water and move it over to the colander. And you see that the leaves are rather large. That's why I will cut them once I've finished the blanching. Now I want to squish this a little bit, get most of the water out. And I'm cutting this now into some smaller pieces. Like this. Okay. Now I have heated some oil in my pot and I'm now adding the onions. And I will fry these for a little bit before I add the kale. Here you see that the onions are starting to brown. I will now also add a little bit of my lard just for the taste. And I'm adding the kale. And as I said before, usually it's double the amount. I make only half the recipe. Next I'm adding 2 teaspoons of mustard. And the vegetable broth. Okay. I lower the heat to medium heat, add the lid, and let this fry for about 30 minutes. This is boiled now for half an hour. There's still enough liquid and it looks very nice, it smells very good. And I'm adding now the sausages and also some pork chops. I just put this on top and I close the lid and let this boil for another 15 minutes. In the meantime, I will now prepare the fried potatoes. For that I heat a little bit of oil in a pan and I've already sliced my potatoes. And you can learn a little bit more about the German fried potatoes on my blog and in another video. And I mentioned there that I'm not using too much oil because I do not want these potato slices to soak in the oil, because then it would be very difficult to get them nice and crisp. And I would usually use a larger pan than this one, but since with the filming and the space and everything is a little bit different than usually when I cook, I had to settle for a smaller pan, but I think that's okay. 5 minutes after adding the sausage, I will open the lid and I poke some holes into the sausage so that the fat can go out and into the kale and gives it a very delicious taste. Okay, I will also move this a little bit around, turn this a little bit like this, and I will close the lid again. Let's take a quick look at the potatoes, and it seems that one side is already nice, not for all of them, but mostly, and I'm just turning them on the opposite side. Okay, I will now remove the meat and the sausage. And set it aside so I can spice the kale. Okay, let me try a little bit so I know what's missing. Already tastes very good. It doesn't need any more salt. I will just add a little bit more of the mustard, a little bit of pepper, and a tiny little bit of sugar. Okay, and there's not very much liquid in here. Still, I will add some of the quick oats so that the liquid will be soaked in from the quick oats, and the liquid will not, be runny on my plate when I serve it. It looks very nice. Okay, so let me try this one more time, but I think it should be just right now. Fantastic. Just the way I want it. I'll quickly return the meat and then I will take care of my fried potatoes. Yeah, these look good too. Yep. Now I will add some butter to this. And this was actually the only food that I was allowed as a child to eat with some sugar in it, unless it was dessert, which didn't happen often enough in my opinion. My mom was very strict with sugar. Okay, and here comes the sugar now. I just sprinkled some, not too much. You can always add some more sugar on your plate. That's what I did in my childhood. So I really had a lot of sugar with that. And I will just let this caramelize now. And then this meal is finished, ready to serve and be eaten on a cold winter day mostly. And the reason why we eat this in November mostly in Germany is because we are waiting for the kale to get the first frost. So once it has a little bit frozen, this is the perfect time to harvest the kale so that it has a slightly sweet taste. That's what the frost does, and that makes the kale tasting even better. This is, although this is a very hearty meal, it's also a little bit sweet. And in the north of Germany, we really like to combine sweet and savory food together. Yeah, okay. So I let this still caramelize a little more. Takes a moment, and then it's ready to serve. I hope you like this recipe. Please stay tuned for the next video.